How's it? Welcome along to Bazzas Garage. Been a bit of a gap between videos, sorry about that. Been really busy, lots going on, lots at work, people here, been sick, all sorts of stuff. So back on the planet again. So at the moment I've got no big projects on the go. So what I thought I'd do is I'll just give you a bit of an update onto all the various bits that are going on in Bazzas Garage. So at the moment, next week is going to be the first official NZLMRA Teams Champs. So I believe we've got 12 teams, and it's an enduro race, so it's a 1 hour race. So really looking forward to that. It's going to be, as I say, the first official race for the NZLMRA in New Zealand. So it's a national championship, which is great. So obviously, Belinda and I are going to be doing that, and we're going to be racing on the old Buzzy B, the old faithful. Been around for quite a while. This mower here is probably one of the oldest mowers still going today. It's probably about, I don't know, 16 years old or more. So it's still going, still runs a 31 single engine in it, class 2, lots of fun, still keeps on going. So what I've done is I've gone through, pulled the air filter off, and I need to obviously clean that out, make sure it's all good to go for the next part. I've had it up in the air, I've tightened all the suspension and checked it all over, made sure the lock nuts are good. I've greased all the nipples, so it's all slippery and ready to go. I've also checked underneath it to see if anything was wrong, pulled off an idler bearing and repacked that. Yeah, everything else seems to be okay. The other thing I've done is I've actually put a speedo on it. So I'll show you about these speedos. So the idea of a speedo is because then obviously I can't go flat out all day and break the mower. So what I bought is these little speedos here. So they're actually a GPS speedo, and they run on a 12-volt pickup. They're very cheap, I don't know, 20 bucks off AliExpress or Temu, wherever you want to buy them from, my favourite shop. And then you have to buy a little adapter that looks like this. If we can open this up, it's a little adapter here. So this is an adapter that takes it from 12 volts down to 5 volts. So these are, again, very cheap. I think I paid like $6, $7 for them. So all you do is you plug that into there, put the power into there, and away you go. So I've also got one on this green mower here. So if I turn the key on, you can have a look. It comes on and it goes to 0. It's now looking for GPS. When it's found its GPS signal, it comes up with 0. And it works great. So, excuse me. So this mower here, I did take it out a couple of weeks ago. Very, very happy with it. It handles like a dream, goes around the corner. The engine started off really strong, but as the day went, it started to feel not so strong and not so strong, and then it felt like it was starting to seize. The oil level was good because I checked that. So I ended up just parking it up at the end of the day. But yeah, very happy with it so far, but the engine was a little bit sad. So I'll show you what was going on with the engine. So this is the engine, single. What had happened is the crankshaft itself, I don't know if you can see that, it actually has ridges in here and ridges in here, and it also has ridges in here. Now when I didn't really pull it apart, I just checked it up, threw it back together again and thought it'd be all right. I should have checked it, I should have measured it, I didn't. So what was happening was these were starting to seize, and it actually stuffed the conrod and the side weights. So this is basically rubbish. So I've thrown that away. But what I discovered was that the 28 engines have the same rod. So the rod is the same, 2831. So I had another, I actually went and saw a good mate of mine who's got a couple of spare parts out the back. And we managed to find an old 28, pulled it apart, and so I'm going to put the crank and the rod with the 31 piston into here, and I'm going to rebuild the engine. So that's going to be the engine that I'm going to use. Once I get it rebuilt, that'd be great. But what I also wanted to show you with this was something that I use quite often is these things here. We used to call them GRDs. What they are is they're little tiny wee discs made of plastic that go onto your drill, and they are awesome for cleaning the aluminium. Okay, so they're really awesome. They don't scratch the aluminium. They clean up all the stuff really good. They're really easy, and they come in different types. And it just cleans it up and just makes it so much easier. So I recommend these GRD ones. You can get gruntier ones. These will take paint off or corrosion. Really good, really worth it. So just thought I'd recommend these little things here. They're real cheap to buy. Again, get hold of those. So while I was in here, the other thing I was looking at was the PCV valve, or positive crankcase ventilation. So what this does is, normally, you can see on this side here, this little hole here goes into the crank. as the pressure builds up, it lifts this up and it blows the extra pressure out of here. Now, positive crankcase ventilation is something you need to be careful of, because if you block this off, the engine will build up pressure inside, it'll start blowing oil out, seals, and all sorts of things can go wrong. So, important to have this right. So, what I've done is there's a little drain hole in the bottom of here. I've made the drain hole slightly bigger so the oil can drain back into the engine. And the other thing I'm going to do, just to try and stop the oil from getting out and still vent, is I come up with this idea. So this is Scotch-Brite stuff. You can breathe through it really easily. So I've cut a couple of pieces, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put these pieces inside here, and then this piece here is going to sit inside here. Now, it breathes really easily, but what it means is the oil will get trapped and then flow back down into here, so you won't lose the oil, but you'll still vent it. And then it'll go into a catch can as well. So the catch can is down in here. It's hidden, actually no, it's in pieces. Perfect time to talk about catch cans. Here's the catch can. Oil catch can comes in here, goes through a little filter in here, again to take the oil out. The oil drops to the bottom of the catch can, and then it vents back up here through a little filter as well. So the idea is it comes straight from the PCV. Around here, there's a tube that goes in between it. It goes in the inside, through here, through this bit, oil drops out, the oil, the pressure comes through here, comes back here, and it vents to atmospheric pressure, and you get to save the oil if you've got any blow-by. So that's how the catch can works. It's pretty basic. Just I used to have just a V can on the side of the mower, and I used to just put this down into the V can, and it would just catch the oil. These things are not designed to rev at higher RPM, so obviously you can end up with oil blowing out once the RPM gets higher. So this is just another way to look at reducing the amount of oil that comes out of it. So hopefully get that built up, get it back into the old green beast, and then I can have a decent go at driving it. Looking forward to getting that going, because I say it was a lot of fun to drive. Felt really good, handled really well, and seemed like it had a lot of power too. So we'll see how we're going with that. All right, next thing, because we've been busy in Bazzas Garage, we've got lots of stuff going on. I've always got 101 things on the go, my poor little brain can't keep up. So I had a friend of mine come to me and say, hey, I've got a problem. I've got an adapter for a carburetor, and I've got a manifold that's shaped like that, but the two don't fit together. What can I do? Can you make something? And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I put my thinking cap on, and I thought, oh, I know. Bazzas Garage has got a 3D printer. So the first thing I did was I had to go drawing something up and printing something. So that's pretty close to what that looks like. I thought that was pretty cool, so that was the first thing I tried. So this is just what they call PLA plastic. It's just for demonstrating. It's not much good for what we need. It needs to be a much stronger plastic. So I did that. And then I thought, hang on, what about if I sort of turn it around so that this could bolt on here and then that could bolt on there? But then I realised I couldn't get bolts down through to hold this onto there and that onto there. So I thought, okay, right, let's have another go. So I had another go, and I ended up with something a little bit like this, which was enabled me to have that sitting on there, and then we had clearance to get the bolts down through, and we recessed it so it bolts on there. So once I had it pretty close, I then grabbed this stuff here, which is a different colour. This is called PETG. It's a much stronger plastic, and it's resilient to oil and fuel. And so effectively all I've done now is this bit here should bolt on somewhere around here, if I get it on the right way, because of course it's offset, which makes it a bit harder to make. So I learned a very cool trick on how to do the adapting of these things. Very, very cool actually. So it means that you can just take a picture of it, put it into the computer, and then dimension it up, and then you can draw it around the picture, basically trace it, which I thought was pretty cool. So what we've got now is this tightens up onto here. So now we've got the carburetor goes on here, easy. There's enough room to put bolts, Allen key bolts down through here, so you can tighten it up to the manifold. And you've got the gasket that fits on there, which fits on there, when I get it around the right way, fits on there perfectly. This is down below here, so the gasket goes on here. that bolts up to there, and now the carburetor goes on there. So I'm quite pleased with that. A lot of learning gone into doing this and drawing it and getting the hang of it. But yeah, I reckon that's pretty good. So adapter made, awesome, happy with that. So that'll go out to them really soon, and they can be all happy with that. Excuse the coughing. Okay, so the last thing I've got for you today is these T-drives. I think Greg sells a few of them, or you can get from other places. They're quite good. Now, the thing to remember about these T-drives, now, I have heard some stories. These are a 1 to 1.9, okay? Which means that they've got a gear ratio inside them. So the input does 1, the output does 1.19. So this is the input. You turn this one time, this goes 1.19, which means that this turns faster. So if you try and drive in here, you're actually overdriving it through here, and you'll never get the ratio right. So really important, put them in the right way round, run the bottom bit so that it's the input, and these ones can be output, and then you'll be able to get your gear ratios done. Now, obviously you want more information on gearing and that. I have done a video on that before. You can work out your gearing, but I've heard of a few people that have put them in the wrong way around, and then they've had real trouble trying to get it to go, and then it wouldn't pull off anyway. So yeah, hit me up if you have any questions. Happy to help whenever I can. That's about it for Bazzas Garage today. So I'm looking forward to the Enduro next weekend, and I'm sure there's be some huge big things coming up for NZLMRA. Yeah, keep your eyes peeled. Until next time, Bazzas Garage.